it does have to be said, this CT side, they have two flashbangs bringing forward into the pistol as they are going to be starting on the CT side of Overpass at the moment. And with a stack over towards the B bomb site, it looks as though they might have just read the correct round here, at least the pistol stat from Na'Vi Jr., who are considered actually your favourites on this map.
That one certainly surprises me. But they are showing why. As they walk in, they found themselves the initial kills. 3 early on for them as Truth finds one back. Actually gets himself a second as well. These are fantastic headshots, but he can't quite convert the third. It's Dennis to do so. The ex-major NIP player in a 1 versus 1 against the youngster, Gospodarov. Comes up close with this Glock. Dennis is super low here. He should be able to convert this. It's just a question of has he gone left or right. It doesn't really matter for now. As long as he can retrieve this bomb and get it down. Dennis is actually going all the way round. This could be a really smart play. It could just go horribly wrong. Gospodarov for now is absolutely terrified. Not expecting this one at all. And every second that he wastes not getting that bomb down is time that Dennis can spend wrapping around the back.
Dennis, a player famous for his pistol play back in his prime. And now he's going to be moving quickly down into the B-bomb site. And he's got to play the guessing game with Gospodarov, who, as soon as he pushes out onto short, he's going to realize himself that Dennis has actually walked up to the A-bomb site. He's predicted it perfectly. And that whole trip for Dennis was a big old waste of time. 19 health. He's going to tap that bomb, has a kit available, but Gospodarov creeps forward and can secure that pistol round. Excellently played by Na'Vi Jr. as they take the opener here on Overpass.
Gospodarov in that situation, early on I started to question what he was doing there. It was like, okay, he's not peeking, just get that bomb, either try and stick it down on the other side of the pillar or actually just tap it and try and bait him out. Instead, he waits out the time, then gets the bomb down and plays it absolutely perfectly. Na'Vi Jr. take the pistol round then, 1-0 right now. APEKS are actually going to fully invest into the second. 2 scouts at hand. This MP9 going super aggressive from Truth, and for now, Onka actually hasn't heard it, so should be able to get the kill here, Truth, and there we go. Able to do exactly that. Will be traded, though.
Gospodarov.
Oh no, he killed his teammate.
Denied the money for the MP9. What huge brain plays are going on at the start of this map. Gospodarov did not want that bonus cash to be given over to Truth, and he's been punished severely now. No cash reward for his kill at all as Na'Vi Jr. collapsed into the B bomb site. It's been a while since I've seen a play like that.
If that was deliberate, that was absolutely nuts. I think maybe it was. I'm not too sure. Either way, a man advantage for Na'Vi Jr. APEKS, they're going to fall right back. They want to try and save this Kevlar. They've got themselves a Galil as well, so they'll have a couple of weapons to work with in the next. Dennis just looking to do some more damage. He knows Gospodarov should still be on this bomb site, and he's hunting for something. Hasn't really got a whole lot to lose. APEKS are going to be on an eco in the next regardless. That scout would be a useful weapon to bring into it, but would do far more damage on an AK if he could find it. Not going to be the case though. Na'Vi Jr. go 2-0 up, despite the fact that APEKS fully invest into the second round. And well, they should be able to take this third as well, as no one on APEKS is really able to buy up around these rifles. And it just means they'll have 2 scouts and a Galil going into round number 3.
And you look at Overpass for APEKS, actually, just checking out their history. The wins that they had in overtime against Namiga and 16-14 against AGF, so very close. But outside of those two, it's been a string of losses otherwise for the APEKS side. And I think you're absolutely right when you indicate they might just be in trouble at this point, as the Na'Vi Junior side did actually manage to trample the Izuku board on this map. So they're clearly not incompetent, just perhaps not comfortable. As Arquez opens up onto Patcher, but Onka gets 2 back and fits. Mac 10 does some damage, but look at this from Arquez. Stands up with the Galil, finds a triple kill on the B bomb site, and Topa's UMP is all that's left to try and save it for the junior side.
Wow. Akez is very low. The UMP spotted out the scout, and oh my goodness, he was full HP and he's landed the headshot, gets the second as well. That is a massive clutch from Topa as he retrieves the Galil too. That was very, very nice. And back to what you were saying before, I think it's very, very easy as a side to get too indulged in the stats and say, oh, look, they've got 17% win rate on this map. They must just not know how to play it at all. And expect to come into it and just play against a bunch of clueless players that are just running around not knowing what's going on, when in fact, Na'Vi Junior, they've been aside for a while. They've had plenty of time to expand their map pool. And just because they haven't had the best results, according to HLTV, on this map, it doesn't mean that they don't know how to play it. And it doesn't mean that they may not have practiced it since the last time they played it as well, which it's been a few days since the last time they played Overpass. So that may well be the case.
3 out of their 6 losses on this map are to the same team as well. So when you consider that could be a stylistic matchup that was defeating them in those scenarios, they perhaps could have been sleeping on this map as one they can utilize in their pool. Topa up close decimates Truth for the second entry kill that Na'Vi Junior get in the round, and so quickly are APEKS left with just 3 riflers to try and defend this round now. Very limited utility as well, just a smoke and 2 flashes, as Na'Vi Junior pretty much have full control.
They do. This is, of course, the APEKS buy round. 2 men already going down. The nades come over. Dennis, that was an opportunity for him to swing out, but the flashes actually catch him out. He's still in a good angle. Should be able to get himself at least 1 as they push up, especially if Gross is here to support him. Gross gets himself 2. There we go. Dennis swings out, does some work. But as they're actually traded out, it's only on Akez. He finds Bit, but now it's a 1-on-1. Capacho and Akez. No sight line on the bomb, so Capacho will be able to retrieve it. Only 19 seconds on the clock, though, so he needs to hurry this one up. He either needs to run down to B fast or go for this A site, and it's looking like Akez has started to predict it as he rotates around. Capacho should still be able to get this bomb down, though, and in fact, Akez has second-guessed it. He stays on truck.
The minor lifeline for Capacho, then. Where's he going to put his utility? Dumps the smoke straight in front of him to buy space and perhaps bait that he might be sat in it. The issue is from heaven. Arquez is going to have the vision. How smart is this from Capacho, though? Of course, he wins the 1v1 down in the corner. He lands the headshots, and it's been a few clutches back-to-back that Na'Vi Junior have needed to win these rounds, but they've pulled them off time and time again. And now APEKS are feeling it in terms of the economy. Surely they might be looking to bring weapons out this time, but nothing more than pistols and utility as they save for the full rifles. And Na'Vi Junior are starting very strong on this T side.
They just seem unbreakable right now, and these clutch situations not only are not going in APEKS's favour, but actually there's just been some questionable plays. I don't understand why Akez took so long to rotate in that scenario. There was only a few seconds left on the clock, and he literally waited until there was 1 second left before he... In fact, he waited until the bomb went down on the other side before he then started to rotate. Surely when there's 5 seconds left, you know that the player's going to be having to be running. If you don't hear the sound cue, you just go for the rotation. Instead, leaves it very, very long. It allows Capacho to get into a perfect post-plant position and come out on top with that fight. Now, just these pistols to try and contest against the rifles. They've done a fair amount of damage. There's actually 3 players that are one-tap potential to the body with the Deagle. But as Akez falls as well, actually Gruss falling too. A 3-man advantage for Na'Vi Junior. They know exactly where Truth is, and they deal with him accordingly. It leaves it all down to Dennis. Nothing he can really do here, and he knows it.
Capacho taking no prisoners down in the B site. Quick double entry. And this is not just a 5-0 start. It's rather quick from Na'Vi Junior as well. They've not been slow to win the early kills at the moment and dominate the opening gunfights. And that is something that is just going to be so beneficial for them heading forward for the rest of Overpass. Now, something I might say could be a minor caveat is that they started strong against the Gambit youngsters there on Vertigo and quickly allowed their opponents to come back into the map. That was with a 4-round lead. This time they're going to have 5. And if they can dispatch APEKS in a map they look much more comfortable on than they did on Vertigo, at least at the moment, then that would be a great start for them here on Overpass.
Really will. Dennis unable to find himself anything as well as actually Na'Vi Junior falling right back. Might be able to find answer here, but he's had to give away the sound cue and he gets taken out. So nothing being saved for APEKS. No men falling for Na'Vi Junior as well, so they can bring all the rifles into the next round, start to build up that bank. And well, APEKS right now, this isn't looking good. They're 5-0 down. They really need to win this buy round, and if they don't, Na'Vi Junior will just continue to snowball and effectively secure themselves a decent half before APEKS have even put a round on the board. This is just a questionable pick. I said it at the start, and I'll stand by it. If they'd just had a good series against APEKS, even if it was a half-decent map where it ended up coming sort of 16-12, 16-13, something like that, they can say, okay, APEKS are really strong on this map, Na'Vi Junior aren't. We were pretty comfortable, but we just let it slip away. Let's take it to overpass. They didn't. They lost 16-8. It's very clear that there are problems with their overpass, and they've not had the time to fix it. They've just jumped straight into another overpass map. And this could be a major, major problem. Dennis getting aggressive on long. Might be able to find something, but for now it's Topa to open things up.
Oh my word, Na'Vi Junior have no mercy at the moment, and I've just been checking statistics. 4 of these Na'Vi Junior players have a better HLTV rating than every single player on the APEKS side. That is a real nightmare in terms of the fragging game for APEKS, because it means that on an individual level, if you're taking one-on-one gunfights, it's going to be super challenging as the players you're up against have better statistics than you. Padorov's aggressive and he turns for the close kill as well, my word! He gets it all done in the bathrooms. APEKS can't even steal an AWP away. At the end of the round, that's all they wanted was the bonus sniper damage. And Na'Vi Junior are walking all over them at the moment.
Na'Vi Junior treating their opponents' buy rounds as if they're ecos. They survive another round with 4 alive. Now looking to try and find APEKS here. I think if Bit does walk into connector, or at least walks past it, should get taken out. Instead they're wary of it. They might go for the double swing. They spot that he's there and they want to try and take him, but he will be able to take the AK into the next round. They haven't really got the money to buy up, but look at this play again from Padarov. That is absolutely huge. He gets the first, takes a couple of steps back, knows that the swing's going to come through for the trade, and puts a bullet straight into Dennis. 6 rounds now for Na'Vi Junior as they win another of APEKS's buys. And they'll be looking to put the 7th on the board as APEKS can't really pull a whole lot into this one.
Na'Vi Junior with an average player age of 19. That should tell you just what this squad's about. It's all about that individual talent and aim. And this time, APEKS has found the opening kill, and Marcelius wants to go aggressive here. Might be expected at the moment from Topa. And that AK from APEKS is just the only rifle that APEKS have on the board. So it's done well to find opening kills, absent damage at the moment. However, the stacked B bomb site still has more work to do if Na'Vi Junior choose to attack it. They're currently moving back up towards A, and it's all about the timing for Truth if he'll find some lucky kills.
No one's watching this ladder. If he chooses to climb up it, it could be very dangerous. Oh, Carpaccio is starting to take a second look at it, but for now they're walking into the deagle of Dennis. He just needs to get the timing right on the swing, and as he's creeping around, he hears the sound cues on playground. He will be able to find at least 1 damage on the second, but can't convert it. A 3-on-3 now. That's Truth's cue to start walking up, as he knows that all 3 players are over towards toilets. But Gruss has retrieved himself an AK off of APEKS' kill. And actually, this is a relatively fair 3v3. Of course, Carpaccio is down to 3 HP. The other 2 players with the rifles in Kevlar, as they push off to the site, they need to find these frags. Flash comes through. Bit can't convert the first, because it gets traded, and now a 2-on-2.
This flank is going to be huge from Truth, but he might be looking the wrong way. Instead, it's his teammates back who he's supporting, and Carpaccio on 3 HP with the AWP has a bit too much to do in a 1-on-2 scenario for my liking. Only 10 seconds as well. It means he has to commit to the plant. That's going to trigger an APEKS peak here, and now he can't win this round. APEKS is cleaning him up, and fair play to APEKS. That was well played with the Deagles and saved rifles. They go aggressive. They pick off Na'Vi Junior 1 by 1, and now we have just the opportunity to talk about our partners over at Hellcase. You won't get bored with Hellcase whatsoever. Use the promo codes on your screen to save more and grab what you deserve. It's the first loss for Na'Vi Junior in 6 streaking at the start of this, and as long as they don't lose control of the momentum now, they'll remain in the driving. APEKS have the rifle.
Well, due to so many of these clutch situations, despite the fact that Na'Vi Junior took 6 in a row, they haven't got a huge amount behind them. They have got enough to fully buy into this one, and they'll have enough to buy into another as well if they do lose this round. Relatively even matched buy. Of course, APEKS did win what effectively was just an Eagle Force, so plenty of money coming into this one. The flash comes through, and actually Gruss falls early. It's Onka to find that opener. They push into this B site. Still 2 more they need to find. Vic gets taken out. The trade can't quite come through. There it is. Dennis falls. It's all on APEKS to try and hold up this site. 1-for-1 trades come through as Capacho tears the head off of Truth, but as Marcelius trades it back, a 2 versus 1 for him to clutch up now, and low HP opponents to play against.
Okay, Molotov readjust and nearly gets taken down as a result. He's still dancing around looking for the plant, and Topa's been found as he commits to it. Marcelius can definitely still win this fight as Ornka hasn't planted the bomb, and that might just bait Marcelius away. Instead, he goes up to heaven, knowing that Ornka now has committed, and really going to come down to timing. Ornka looks to swing out right, but Marcelius lands the shot. Amazing work from him to clutch that out in the A-bomb site and give APEKS their second.
Wow. That's rather unfortunate from Na'Vi Junior. They did, of course, bring it into a one-on-one, so heavy reinvestment needed for the APEKS side, but that's not going to bother them all too much. What they do need are these rounds, and as they convert that one, they slowly but surely start to close this gap that Na'Vi Junior have initially established. Now, Na'Vi Junior, they have got the money to buy back into this one. However, oh, Gospodarov, just down to that scout. No AWP available in this one, so it'll be 4 AKs, plenty of utility. And that scoped rifle that only does 70 damage on a hit. That might be problematic, especially with Marcelius connecting shots like that on connector. The early man advantage in their favour now.
Norwegian AWP, the difference maker in that last round, and it's going to be vital by the looks of things to keep him on that sniper rifle, as he really didn't wake up until he had the AWP in his hands. But once he's got it, looked rather strong so far. Harvey Jr. looking to wrap around into the bathrooms at the moment as Dennis and Bit actually walk past each other. Bit comes out on top of that engagement, and Truththorpe now has to sprint away into the A site as APEKS are going to rotate a second player up to defense. They pulled this fight, and Truth on that second AWP was not predicted. Marcelius forced away, and with a missed opportunity onto Capacho, there is a retake potential in the wings. 3-on-4 favouring the CT side.
Bit could have found that kill from the back lines, but made the sound cue, gives his position away. Marcelius just charging in with this AWP, looking for some kind of no-scope or something, but it's Topa to pick up the pieces. Finds himself 3 and brings it into a one-on-one. Truth now close with this AWP. His position is absolutely known. He has to spam away with the USB, and he connects the shot while flash, but he's got no time. The kit's picked up, but has he still got it? I'm not sure. He can't get onto the Larry. Oh no! Oh no! I don't even think he survives here. That is so unfortunate.
Oh, what? I'm going to need to see a replay of that round, please. That is just nightmare after nightmare for either player. Flash dropped at the front, but he's only on 17 HP. Topa, it looks like he's good for the kill. Then completely blind. Check this out. Flash comes out in hand, dropped in front, plays it perfectly, does the damage, full blind. Truth has it, but no kit on the defuse and can't get the right movement back on the bomb. What a nightmarish round for APEKS to lose, but it's allowed Na'Vi Jr. to get back in the driving seat.
That is really unfortunate. That's real sad. And considering the round before went into a 1v1 as well, they've literally got no money to work with. But Gross is showing that he doesn't need money. Just put a deagle in his hands and he'll do something like that, retrieve himself a Galil, and he's happy as Larry right now. He's going to fall back to B. The issue is the fact that his teammates are just down to the pistol too. They've got a double stacking connector here, but as Topa tears it apart, 2 bullets is all that's needed as he takes down Marcelius and Truth. And the man advantage swings back in the way of the Na'Vi Junior side.
Looks as though APEKS seem to be predicting a hit at this point, and if Na'Vi Junior go quickly, they'll be able to walk into a lightly defended B-bomb site. But as they await this execution, APEKS start to move further and further into B, especially now with that jump peak. Na'Vi Jr. have to go quickly as they are aware rotations are coming. Russ needs to go huge with the Galil, but he's been taken down, and it's all on Deagles. Arquez, the IGL, hunting for it with Dennis in the wings. He can be lethal on these pistols as well, but with his teammate removed, he may just want to back away and save forward. Instead, he's going to look for exit damage towards the death of the round, but it will be an 8th for Na'Vi Jr. already on the more difficult T side of Overpass.
Look at this opening shot from Gruss. Really nice stuff. Capaccio's not expecting that at all. What's even more impressive, though, is that double headshot from Topa and Connector. Really, really clean stuff from him. Na'Vi Jr. now put themselves onto 8. I talked about it in our series earlier. This has to be a turning point for APEKS. Na'Vi Jr. now have got the opportunity to string together a few more rounds and actually take a 10-5, 11-4 half, which APEKS will really struggle to come back from, especially going on to that T side. Whereas if they start to pull back a few rounds now, they string some together and they end up getting maybe 6 or 7, then it's not a bad half at all. They just need to turn the tables, and Marcelius trying to make that happen as he finds that opener onto Topa in Connector and falls right back. No trade potential there at all.
He really is the X factor for APEKS at the moment. That AWP seemingly the majority of the impact from the APEKS side is stemming from it in these rounds, and he's found an opening kill again now in round 11. It feels surprising that we're so late in the first half already, but Na'Vi Jr. have really been dominating the early stages. Org from Truth does not find any frags on A long. Now Marcelius is on the position to go for the refrag as well, but Bit should have the presence of mind to predict this. This might be the issue against, as you're playing as younger players, though, they may be tempted to peek out and swing those angles. Bit does it, and Marcelius can take him down. Now it's a 4-on-3 attack as Marcelius wants to get aggressive on this mid angle as well. They're going to get caught with Molotovs in hand, but eventually he's taken down. 2-on-3 now for Gospodarov's scout, who should probably pick up an AK.
Well, no more AWPs available for APEKS now. They need to hit the shots with the rifles, and as the flashes come over, Capaccio actually wins the gunfight onto Dennis. Dennis wasn't flashed at all in that scenario. Still can't come out on top. Grunt on the backlines, denies the plant, but it trades back and forth. Akez just comes in time to clutch up that one. Another 1v1 affair, but it's APEKS to come on top this time. Very, very close rounds, and it really feels like APEKS seem to find that opening kill round after round, and then someone just lurking around playing alone ends up getting killed, and there's no trade that can come in because they're alone on long or something like that. They fall, no trade potential, and it ends up being a 4v4 and a lifeline for Na'Vi Jr. to work back into the round. It almost happened there, but luckily a couple of big plays towards the end and a fantastic round for Marcelius on that AWP as he picks up another going into round number 12.
Na'Vi's Junior fragging has been great as well. They've been taking these rounds into one-on-ones every time that APEKS have won them. I think it's had to stem from a one-on-one clutch at this point in time, which is really phenomenal when you think about it in terms of how much damage they're dealing to the CT economy. They could have the perfect boost here as well, as long as they can hold it until the smoke dissipates. That's the issue, is they could get caught off guard by Gruss. They stick around for too long, and now they've lost that opening man. It was a valiant attempt, but you can't stick around for too long in those angles.
Yeah, I think they were waiting for that smoke to dissipate. They seemed to have a good idea that there was one playing over towards the barrels, and if they had a second or two longer, they would have found that frag. As the Molotovs come in, though, it's looking like they are going to push on to this B site, but with the man disadvantage, make that a two-man as Gruss finds one. It is traded out, though, and oh my goodness, Bit's gone huge. Gospodarov's found himself one as well. Capaccio chiming in, and now it's a 3-on-1. All of a sudden, the tables have completely turned. APEKS had a man advantage, and now they're 2 men down. Truth's in a near impossible clutch. He may have the element of surprise coming in from Monster, but Bit seems to have a good idea as he holds the angle, swings out. Truth finds the headshot, though, but now his position is known. Na'Vi Jr. can play the post-plant positions accordingly, and there should be no chance of him coming out on top. And Gospodarov secures it, picks himself up an AWP as well for his troubles, and Na'Vi Jr. put themselves onto 9. Not the half we expected, but certainly the half they needed.
100%. Starting on the T side as well, this is something that you have to consider. This is the more difficult half of the map. And Na'Vi Junior, when you look through their statistics in the past, it's not like they're a freakish T side team on Overpass. They actually do prefer the CT side when all is said and done, which means that APEKS are in serious trouble now. They're a side who usually rely on large CT halves to do the work for them. And right now, Marcelius, who's a player who is absolutely phenomenal on the AWP, never is either able to have an AWP in his hands, or when Na'Vi Junior are wrapping into this B bomb site, it's always at close range angles where he's just not quite able to be effective.
Well, they're just down to the pistols now. Na'Vi Junior might just be able to put themselves onto double digits. These deagles have to go huge. They have to connect these headshots, and they've only got 2 players on the Kevlar as well. So even if they find a couple of opening kills, retrieve a couple of rifles, if it's on the players with no body armor, it's still going to be a very difficult round for them to take. Truth's positioning right now is pretty big. Marcelius coming in from behind as well, should be able to get himself a freebie. Oh no, thought that was a free kill, but Capacho turns around. Gosparadov trades out the one that Truth found as well. And now a man advantage. 35 seconds on the clock as Na'Vi Junior are starting to push into this site. As Dennis misses the 1 dig. Well, his position's now known and he's living on borrowed time. He has to fall back as his teammates are falling around him. And Gruss in the back lines. Good for one, but a 1v3. I think he just grabs an AK and saves here.
That was really, really close. If he was a second earlier, he could have dropped the bomb. And with 20 seconds left on the clock, there might just have been enough time for Na'Vi Junior to get it. But if he put up a fight and then started to run away, who knows what kind of time games he could have been playing there. Thankfully, for the Ukrainian side, they keep control of things, put double digits up on the board at 10-3. This was definitely not what I was expecting coming forward, even though when you first mentioned APEKS could be in trouble with this as their pick, that was sort of like a dark horse trouble in the back of my mind. Na'Vi Junior as dark horses on this map, and unexpected to get something done, but with potential latent, and wow, with double digits already, it's been amazing. And look at that, the double connector commitment early from APEKS, and Topa just decimates Gruss and gets the hell out of there.
That was really smart from Topa. Uses that Molotov to split the defenses right down the middle. So instead of them double swinging like they would have done and probably coming on top of that Angel, or at the very least getting the trade, he actually uses that Molotov, whether this was intentional or not, splits those 2 players down the middle, can get that initial kill. There's no trade potential as his teammate can't swing into the fire, and he can fall right back and take that man advantage. Minute left on the clock now as they start to progress onto this B site. It's Marcelius that finds the first, and he gets himself another. This is being held down very well from APEKS. But is this too little too late? Na'Vi Junior are sitting 10-3 right now. I don't think they're too phased. Even if they lose these next 2, this is still a very, very good half from them.
It certainly is, as they should just have enough cash to bring rifles forward in the next as well. APEKS may stabilize slightly, but they'll be desperate for this second pistol. Their CT side has not been an effective one, and they're really going to need to come out swinging on the T half if they want an opportunity to claim their map pick here on Overpass. They have everything they could work with in the round. They just need to make the plays to follow up with these rifles.
As the pause comes in, what do they do here, Na'Vi Junior? They've got plenty of money in the bank to sort of buy up into this one. It will be all of their cash invested, though. And Gospadarov is actually on a glass cannon. That's not something we've seen in a while. Faced up against a full buy from APEKS. And what's really dangerous is Marcelius on that AWP. He has been very, very strong. Despite the fact that he's only got 9 kills right now and he's actually sitting negative, he's been the one to open up these rounds, find those initial picks, and get work done. Na'Vi Junior definitely have to take him out if they want a good chance of taking control of anywhere that he stands.
This is the big boost, but it's not going to yield any fruit for Na'Vi Junior at the moment. APEKS with aggressive positioning towards A as they await Na'Vi Junior's eventual push out, but with these angles, they know this has to be a B commitment, and they're on quick spots to rotate in as well. Marcelius holding connector with this AWP at close range should be good for the one and done position here, at least finding the single kill before falling away. If he falls down without getting anything, I'd be super surprised on this angle. But Topa has been great on it so far against that double boost before, but not quite quick enough to find Marcelius before he retreats. Drop the flames and buys himself space, but there are still aggressive Apex players positioned here. However, it's the B execute that will come through.
Gross has done very well to find himself 2 there, and he's still alive. Gets himself a 3rd, make that a 4th. He's on for the ace now, as Bit coming in from T-Spawn, just with the P250 to work with as well. A massive, massive round from Gruss. I mean, he's found himself an AWP, but it's the last of the half. Not going to do a whole lot here. Bit can hear the steps to his left. He makes the sound himself, and Truth's the one to convert it. Apex find themselves the last couple of the half, which takes it 10-5. Still not a good half for them at all, but considering it could have been a lot worse, I think they'll be relatively happy with it.
At least that they stabilised towards the end of the half. That has to be the positive takeaway from this Apex side. As we take a look at the half-time scores, Gruss and APEKS leading the way, the in-game leader for Apex, the second top fragger there, and Gospodarov, Carpaccio, and Topa having a good game so far on the T side of Overpass. Bit, who was that hero on Vertigo, was at least trying to get the majority of the work done for his side. Is slightly quieter here on Overpass at the moment, and now the odds come through from our partners over at LootBet, heavily favouring the Na'Vi Junior on this CT side, and I have to say I agree with them, especially if they're able to convert this pistol. I just don't see where Apex are going to come back into the map.
Na'Vi Junior, they're starting to surprise me, but this is what happens. You pick Overpass, you're not comfortable on it, and you take this early loss. They need to win this pistol round, Apex, if they want a good chance of closing this gap. And, well, actually the aggression comes through from Na'Vi Junior and the kills go their favour. They are traded back out, and Apex actually come out on top here. Onka needs to land these headshots, and for now he gets overwhelmed. It's only Gospodarov left versus 4 with this USP coming in from heaven. Spots out the first, a very nice headshot onto him, gets himself to second as well. This is now a 2-on-1. He knows the positioning of one of them, and he's actually got an idea on the second as well. Dennis up close. Seems to have been predicted, and as the sound cue comes through, Gospodarov actually able to convert it. A 1 versus 1 now, but the bomb's beeping away far too quickly. The kit's been picked up, the smoke goes on the bomb. He might actually just hold this, that's exactly what he's going to do, but APEKS comes out on top. That was incredibly close.
APEKS knew he had no other option but to stick there, so was able to just spam through the smoke and secure it at the end. But excellent work from Gospodarov to try and claw the pistol back for Na'Vi Junior. Unfortunately, he won't be able to do so, and now they need to play the smart economic game. Yes, it's going to be potentially the 3 rounds at the start of the half going Apex's way, but if they get baited into a messy economy match, then that could be Apex tying up the scoreline before they know it. It is 4 rifles supported by just the PP Bison, and aggressive positioning all stacked up, and Na'Vi Junior trying to deal damage onto the rifle.
Oh no, Junior, after getting that first kill, I thought they had some kind of chance, but they just get completely mowed down. Apex doing a really good job at closing this gap. They found those 2 rounds, in fact, that were needed. Kept several players alive in that one as well. So, not much of a reinvestment having to come in. No AWP available for the Apex side. There will be one on Gospodarov on Na'Vi Junior. So this is the buy round. This is the round that Apex need to win in order to close this gap. If Na'Vi Junior can take it, they'll be able to take a relatively substantial lead. If they can string together another off of this. And Gospodarov, oh my goodness, actually gets himself a 2-piece. That's 15 seconds into the round, not even. And they're already ahead by 2.
No armor either. Takes 1 point of damage from the nade, and Truth is the next to fall in connector. APEKS and Dennis, what are they going to do now? It looks like their only option is to try and unite for a bomb plant on the A site, but Onka's dropped the bomb now. APEKS falling leaves the veteran Swedish player isolated against the entire Na'Vi Junior side. He's got time to work with. However, this may just be too difficult for him. If he can hunt down Gospodarov, who's on a glass cannon, all has to do is land 1 bullet, and then Gospodarov won't be able to aim properly, but he's going to try and wrap back around, just hoping there was somebody exposed, and For now, he doesn't have any opportunities for kills.
Either way, he has to find 5, and as soon as he jumps up and gets that bomb, he will be swarmed by the Na'Vi Junior players. They're all set up. He wants to try and find himself something in connector. Actually spots out Onka, but can't even convert the kill. Na'Vi Junior play that one very, very well and actually keep all 5 players alive. Gospodarov, a fantastic opener to the round for him, making sure they secure that one. And APEKS, well, that's not the start they would have wanted. They are going to invest into this one. They can afford 3 AKs. 2 players down to the pistols, though, means that they are at a huge deficit. Very limited utility as well. Na'Vi Junior, if they can take this round, they put themselves onto 12. APEKS will be on a full eco, and they can actually go 13-7, which would be absolutely huge, considering if that buy round would have swung the other way, it could be 10-9 right now.
Gospodarov again opening up with massive kills. Topa can get one before falling as well. And APEKS does not even want to aggress into Gospodarov's crosshairs. He's a scary prospect at the moment on overpass. And once again, it's the captain and the veteran to try and make moves here up towards the A-bomb site. A similar time frame as well, in which Na'Vi Junior just dominate all of the opening kills. They've shredded the APEKS economy at the moment, and on just 34 HP, I'm rather surprised the AK hasn't been dropped onto Dennis at this point, who has actually got more to work with and can sustain more damage on the initial engagement. However, it does look like they are going to continue aggressing through B short and looking for more rifles here, perhaps even if it's just to save them.
Dennis has found himself an M4 now, and it's looking like they are going to try and go for a B bomb plant. Gospodarov, though, he's just absolutely fantastic with this AWP, just brilliant. He's being so dynamic, it's absolutely impossible to predict. Sometimes he's going for the mid picks, sometimes he's getting aggressive in B short like that, sometimes he, well, I mean, I hope in the future he goes for those connector and long picks. It's just impossible to play against, and actually, somehow this round's come into a 2 versus 2. I completely missed the frags as APEKS finds himself 2 crucial headshots. They get the bomb down, and a 2-on-2 retake for Na'Vi Junior now.
Both players playing anti-flash, and APEKS just walks in and gets them both as they're not looking in the right direction, but Bit might be able to recover, leaving Dennis alone in the 1-on-2 scenario. He's firing at Gospodarov, who's dealing huge damage on just 25 HP now. These players need to play together in their hunt for him. They're going to swing around the pillar. Look, aggressed forward. It's Bit who lands the headshot and recovers, despite APEKS' best efforts to make it expensive for Na'Vi Junior. They can't confirm this round, APEKS. It's 12 rounds now to the CT side, and surely an eco for the T's as Na'Vi Junior hunt for the 13th.
That was an important retake for them to clutch up. I'm actually surprised APEKS ended up going for that. Look at these openers again, though. Gospodarov, 2 rounds in a row, he's found the opening 2 picks with that AWP. No signs of slowing down. He's absolutely on fire, sitting on 19 frags right now. An integral part of Na'Vi Junior's successes so far. They should be able to put themselves onto 13, as effectively APEKS are just on an eco here. Kevlar only on the 1 player, the rest just on the pistols. It's Gospodarov to open it up again as he finds 1. Looking for the second as well. He does exactly that. 3 rounds in a row now. He's found those opening frags, and this round it's the 3rd. 1 player falling on Na'Vi Junior is going to be Bit, but with 9k in the bank, he'll have no trouble rebuying. Na'Vi Junior stacking up these rounds, a 6-round lead now on their opponent's map pick, and plenty of money in the bank to work with.
Just a brick wall. APEKS can't even get into the bathrooms in this round. Na'Vi Junior having none of it. Gospodarov's AWP really activating on the CT side, and this is what we mean when we say AWPers on the CT side of Overpass can really reign supreme. If you have someone who's firing on all cylinders, as Gospodarov is, they can really take over. Bit's gone aggressive towards Fountain and might actually get punished here as they wrap around behind, but Gospodarov finds the opener, and he's turned around in time to engage the fight onto Marcelius now. Another round in which both opening kills go the way of Na'Vi Junior. Make it the triple. APEKS, what on earth is happening with this T side? They literally can't go 15 seconds in a round without losing players.
This is just a shame. I don't really know. I don't want to say they're rushing into things, because They're not really. They're just contesting that early control, and they're just losing the gunfights every round. It seems to be the Bit and Gozpadarov show, round after round. They're finding these early picks, whether it be against pistols, whether it be against the weapons. And APEKS, yeah, they go just for the fountain control, which rightfully should just be theirs. Yeah, they get there first. They should just be able to contest that control. Most of the time, Na'Vi Jr. won't go for that peak, and APEKS should just be able to take it. But Na'Vi Jr. are confident, and that's what happens when you allow them to get this early lead. They're just not missing a shot right now. APEKS last alive, 1 versus 5 to clutch up. The bomb's not on his back, but no one will be holding it, so we will be able to go and retrieve it. Really nothing he can do in this one. He is going to go for it. There's really no point in the save, but yeah, he knows there's no chance here. He's walking into a stacked site, and he's just going to get mowed down. Bit finds himself the 3k that round. And Na'Vi Jr. sit 14-7 right now on APEKS's map pick. This has got to be demoralizing. This has got to be crushing right now if you're APEKS. You went for a real gamble pick, and it just hasn't paid off at all for you.
No money for the Norwegians anymore, as they're just going to scrape together whatever they can to try and deny map point to their opponents. APEKS looks like he's dropped a Galil over to a teammate even, or perhaps an AK just to buff up Truth some more, but Gozpadarov, he's looking for more early kills in the round. This time the smoke has bought them enough space, and that nade only doing limited damage. The flashes going forward will finally allow APEKS some map control before they start losing players. This time they can start to make their way out towards Party and the bathrooms, but Bit at close range needs to be careful he doesn't get overwhelmed. He'll play more passively, and this time Na'Vi Jr. are drawing APEKS further in.
1 away from match point, and if they can convert this round, which they really should be able to, they're against a very limited buy from their opponents. They'll force them down to another forced buy in the next. Early trade comes in, a 4 versus 4 now as Gozpadarov, not going to miss that one onto Marcelius. This time it's not a battle of the Orps, as Marcelius is on no money whatsoever, but Truth trades it right back. A fantastic headshot to bring it onto a 3-on-3. Dennis should be able to retrieve this bomb, and it should be able to go down, but because they're taking so long, the rotations are actually coming in, and Na'Vi Jr. are very ready for this. As soon as that bomb starts to be planted, they can throw the remaining flash that they have over and try and swarm this site.
APEKS have no more utility to work with. Truth has to hit his shots, and he is doing it. Reloading, and he can't actually secure the kill. Ornka, that was a great opportunity to secure map point, and now it's on Topa for the clutch. Whipped AWP shot, close range. Dennis has an AK swinging right to defend him. Somehow Topa's still alive at close range, but Dennis swings around and finds the sniper shot in the end. He doesn't expect the close range push, does Topa, and for now, APEKS, they deny that map point. They do scrape together whatever they needed, and it does work out. But again, Na'Vi Jr., they bring it down to a 1v1 at the end there. That was a 3-on-1 situation that APEKS nearly lost control of.
Dennis, that came far too close for comfort. He started panicking after he missed that first shot, hoping his teammates could save him. And as they fairly knew it was all up to him, and he stepped up to the plate when needed. Despite winning that round, because it came down to a 1v1, they've still had to fully reinvest into this. They have got the AWP on Marcelius, but limited utility on the rest as they push into this B site. They've got the man advantage. Gruss leading the pack with this MAC-10, looking to find himself that opener on the site. It's Capacho on the other side, looking to deny this, but they are actually going to get that bomb down. Marcelius finds himself 1 more, make that 2. They completely shut this one down. Pacho not in a position where he can fall back. His position's now known. He is good for 1, maybe 2, but no bullets left in the clip, and APEKS actually pull another back. This would be an eco round for Na'Vi Jr. as well, so APEKS should be able to put themselves onto double digits and start to close this gap. Maybe they go for a maybe they bring this back. There's comeback potential now.
I don't know what it is about the number 14 that makes CSGO teams start losing control, but it's been happening all day today. As soon as they come 1 away from map point, they start fumbling and allow their opponents some momentum. APEKS will be, you have to expect guaranteed double digits unless there's some really crazy pistol play here from the Na'Vi Junior side. They've got this boost going, but they're going to have to bail out of it eventually. It can be so easily punished with nobody defending the B bomb site. It's going to all be on retakes from these pistols. This should be a very easy round now for the Norwegians, as they will get 10 at bare minimum. Na'Vi Junior, they can't leave it too long before getting 15. If they allow APEKS any more than 12 before scoring map point, I'd suggest that would be overtime territory for sure.
We saw this earlier on, especially in the Gamer Legion match versus, who was it against? Alternate Attacks. This exact scenario, but I think they were 14-5 and they let it all slip away. Hopefully Na'Vi Junior don't make that same mistake. Capacho should be able to take out Truth here, but ooh, the crosshairs just in the wrong position. Truth actually able to come out on top despite the fact that he's tagged up low. Gets taken out by Onka though, and that's actually going to be an AK retrieved. He should be able to save that as well. No one's anywhere near him. Not a bad prize for him to come out with. APEKS put themselves onto 10.
That's a little buff to the CT economy, as it's one less rifle they need to buy up into in the round. But Na'Vi Junior, the momentum hasn't quite dissipated yet. They still have an opportunity to take back control of the map. If they get map point here, APEKS will still have cash to buy, but that would be the real statement in this full gun round, and they'd be on their way to securing the opening map in comfortable fashion. However, they do have to get through this one, and APEKS with victory would be forcing Na'Vi Junior onto a dodgy buy at bare minimum. It looks like they actually want to go aggressive here, the Na'Vi Junior side. There have been counter-utility deployed by APEKS, who are much faster out this time, and unpunished early on as Gospodarov looks to go long and does find the opening kill. Swings on to Dennis and lands that flick, but can these Toilets players escape safely?
Gospodarov, that's what I've been waiting for in these last couple of rounds. He was so consistent on those early picks before. Now he's back in the swing of things, and the flash comes through though. Bit does get the trade in for his teammate. I'm surprised he managed to do that. The smoke gets down on the Molotov, but he has got to fight for his life here to get out of this situation. Onka's there to support him. The sprays come through the smoke. Onka's there to trade it. The 2 versus 2 now. Na'Vi Junior, they were in a horrible, horrible situation, and they've somehow come out on top. Capacho finds the kill on B, and it's all on Gruss here. He's got the bomb next to him. He will be able to pick it up, and he'll probably head over towards the A site. But a 2 versus 1, he's got no utility to work with. He's against 2 armored players with rifles. They've got a Molotov and 2 flashes. This is going to be a tall order for him to clutch this one up, and with 28 seconds on the clock, he has to speed this one up.
It looks so unlikely. He'll have to start sprinting immediately just to get to the site in time to actually be able to take a gunfight. He's got to creep forward. All Onka has to do is play passively and hide himself from A long, wait for this plant to come through, and then kill him when time permits. He's actually given his position away now. Gruss is going to charge forward looking for the kill. There's no time to plant, so this is an Na'Vi Junior round, and Onka adds insult to injury with the last kill as well. 15-10 Na'Vi Junior, with 5 consecutive opportunities now to win their pick and take it on to Dust 2, which is home territory for them.
Absolutely fantastic round there. Really, really well played from Onka in that position. Not going for that early pick, just jiggling around there. No chance whatsoever for Gruss to take him out. He's only showing an arm or a leg at a time for a fraction of a second. Just runs down that clock, and even if he doesn't find that kill, they win the round. There's no time for the plant. Because Padarov this time going for the connector pick. No one's going to be there for it, but stays in there on that quick rotation. If Topa needs his support for now, he doesn't need it. He's found himself too early on. This might be all said and done for APEKS, as they've taken a 2-man disadvantage. Because Padarov's now hit to support with that door being open. Ooh, Dennis though goes big, levels things back out into a 3-on-3. APEKS have got a lifeline to work with.
Onka nearly falls to that wall spam there as well. Very, very dangerous. And Gospodarov tries to be the playmaker with his AWP and is shut down as the second kill from Dennis. APEKS with a whole minute to work with here and decent amounts of map control. They're holding and praying that Na'Vi Jr. are the side who choose to get aggressive, rush forward, and try and hunt for some kills. Topo on his MP9, he's too deep in the site. I would have suggested maybe he wants to go and upgrade that weapon, but there's no feasible position he can get in to find a rifle and then get back in without risking just major gaps in the B site defense. So he has to hold true. And Ormka, when is he going to rotate over? It looks like he's just playing for contact on A at the moment and leaving his team to do the work on the two-man crossfire. Capacho, he has to go huge. Full HP on the AK. There are 3 players incoming and Topa's only on the SMG.
Such early engagements. APEKS have got plenty of utility to work with in this 3v3 situation, but Onka finds himself the first. Capacho with one as well from heaven, and Grass has to punch in the numbers. There's no time left, and Topa shuts it down. Na'Vi Jr. take the first map 16-10. It was APEKS's map pick, and they have got to be shaken up now as they go on to Dust 2. Wow, I really wasn't expecting that from Na'Vi Jr.
Well, APEKS, they start their day in Group B of this Malta Vibes Cup, losing Overpass twice consecutively, 16-8 and 16-10. And now we're heading on to what you could argue is the favourite map for Na'Vi Jr. Not only does it have one of their best win rates and most map played, but it also tilts very heavily in their favour as well, just in terms of their play style. The individuals are going to have so much room to work with on Dust 2 that APEKS are going to have a real task on their hands to try and stay alive in this best of 3.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what it is, but these CIS teams just seem to love Dust 2. And Na'Vi Jr., well, they're a force to be reckoned with on it. APEKS, they're not too bad on Dust 2. They've actually got a relatively good win rate on it, so they're not going to be terrified. They've got a 50-50 across 12 maps, and that's against some pretty strong teams as well. So they're not going to be terrified going into Dust 2. But after that dominating performance from Na'Vi Jr. on a map that they were expecting Na'Vi Jr. to completely flop on, I think they've got to be worried going into Dust 2 right now.
Well, the young Ukrainians steal away their opponent's map pick and now have the opportunity to 2-0 and advance to the decider matchup earlier on. Can APEKS pull off the reverse sweep and stave off elimination in this series? Find out after this quick break. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Malta Vibes, brought to you by Gaming Malta, a home of gaming excellence. We are almost ready to get away with map 2 of today's elimination series between Na'Vi Junior and APEKS, in which the young Ukrainians are going to be looking for a quick 2-0 over the Nordic side for a second chance to make it to the playoffs in this Malta Vibes Cup. My name is Protalis, and talking you through the remainder of the series with me is going to be M&J. How are you feeling ahead of Dust 2?
I'm feeling good. It's been a really long day. It's really, really hot, but I've still got energy. I've still got energy to bring into the closing maps of this series. Dust 2 should be Na'Vi Junior's ground. Yeah, it's of course their map pick. It's their best map, and I think they'll be pretty confident going into it as well off of the back of a 16-10 win on Overpass, which was their opponent's map pick. They were winning their aim duels. The AWP was absolutely fantastic on Gospodarov, and you really just couldn't fault it. So going into Dust 2, as long as they can carry that momentum and they can convert some of those early rounds, I think they've got a very, very good chance of taking it.
We have the head-to-head here in terms of kills over on the first map, and of course it's Gospodarov who was leading the way for that Na'Vi side. Monstrous work being done with his AWP there to devastating effect was it being used, and it's actually Arquez who is the in-game leader over on that APEKS side of things, who was the top fragger for the Nordic side. That is rather interesting indeed, and not something you do see very often. Heading over to Dust 2 as well, it did really feel like there were two players leading the way from APEKS in terms of kills. And when you head onto a map that has a really loose play style, you're going to want all of your players showing up as necessary kills, as a lot of these rounds end up in multiple trades going either way.
They really do. A lot of the rounds that we did actually see on Overpass came very, very close. There were a few just crushing rounds where APEKS came down to a 1 versus 1 and they ended up losing it, or even a couple of 2v1 situations that were clutched up by Na'Vi Junior. Of course, that one that really, really sticks in my mind that after this broadcast I am going to go back and watch, where I can't remember what player it was, but he effectively clutched up the round, got on the bomb and just didn't have enough time because he didn't have the kit, then goes and picks up the kit but can't jump up onto the truck, and therefore doesn't get the defuse in time and then dies to the bomb. It's just so upsetting, and if some of those rounds had gone the other way, I think APEKS definitely could have had a closer scoreline at the very least, and possibly have even taken it over the edge. So going into Dust 2, they need to make sure that in those situations they can keep their composure and they can come out on top, because it just seemed like too much of the time they were either losing that man advantage, or when they were in those late round clutch situations, they were throwing it away.
Marcelius, the second man on APEKS, who definitely had some positives on that map of Overpass. He was doing work with his AWP as well, or at least trying to make plays and move around with the sniper rifle. But the issue really for him was that he rarely had the AWP in his hands. And in the rounds that he did, Na'Vi Junior somehow found a way to crack into the bomb sites that he wasn't defending. He'd then be brought in as a rotator to try and retake the bomb site and be forced into close range angles with the snipers. So if APEKS can do a slightly better job on Dust 2 of securing their own economy and putting that AWP in his hands more often, perhaps we'll have an opportunity to see him shine brighter here on Dust 2, as this map is still comfortable for the Nordic side. You just have to expect that Na'Vi Junior, with the momentum coming forward into this one and how crisp their kills were, even in the rounds they were losing, they were taking them down into one-on-ones. That is all excellent news when Dust 2 is the next map in the series.
It really, really is. And when we look at 16 maps played from Na'Vi Junior on Dust 2, they've actually won 5 of their last 6 played on this map, and they've not been against easy opponents. That's going to be against Big Academy, Ethereal, the Isako Boars. Espada was one of those teams in that bracket as well. They won it in Lootbet Season 7 against LDLC, Giants, and Hard Legion, who are 3 very, very strong teams. So Na'Vi Junior, they've really proved that they are comfortable on this map. They've this month almost gone unbeaten on it. And I think coming into this one, APEKS, they've got to be worried. They have to be on their absolute best game. Otherwise, they are going to be out of this week of Malta Vibes very, very swiftly. And especially in 2-0 fashion, that's not how you want to be ending it.
It's certainly not. And I'm taking a look back through those APEKS maps pass through their history as well, and it doesn't inspire the same kind of confidence that you reading off the names Navi Junior defeated were. Namiga on Honorish, the most notable, defeated recently, but then you have to go all the way back into June, and it's Fate against it's APEKS against Fate, it's APEKS against the clean mix that they're winning out these rounds, and sides like Riddle. So it's a different caliber of opposition to which Navi Junior are able to overcome on this map. And just based on how individualistic this Navi Junior playstyle is and how young their players are, Dust 2 is just an individual's playground, and they are surely going to be able to run around, cause some chaotic situations, and find some devastating kills.
Something I've just looked at as well, okay? I don't want to stick on this for too long, but I've just actually had a look at the score lines. I'm just looking at the little green line next to it that says they've won the map. But in the last 6 times Navi Junior have played this map, they beat the Isako Boars 6-2, then they beat the Isako Boars again 6-6, then Ethereal 16-6 of course, then Ethereal 16-4, and then Big Academy 16-4. So every single time they've played this map this month, they have absolutely dominated it and not actually dropped more than 6 rounds.
Everything bodes well for Navi Junior heading into Dust 2. All the signs suggest that they will be able to close this series out 2-0 and dispatch of APEKS rather quickly, eliminating them from this Malta Vibes Cup. The only thing that would be able to put a stop to that is a heroic performance from this Nordic side against what you could argue is their opponents on their strongest map pick at the moment. As Navi Junior win the knife rather, they're going to start on that CT side. And as we await the odds to come through from our partners over at LootBet, I'm certainly anticipating Navi Junior as the favorites here. But with a 2.27 versus a 1.56, LootBet's certainly giving APEKS the outside chance in this map.
It's somewhat as expected. APEKS statistically are just the better side, but after what we saw on Overpass, after what we can see from the stats in Navi Junior's Dust 2 game, it's no surprise that Navi Junior are the clear favourites to win this one. Early engagement going on long. It's Dennis to find the headshot onto Gospodarov. That P250 working the range, does take a little bit of damage in the meantime, and his bits tagged down to 7 as well. They've actually got a hell of a task on their hands to try and retake this A site. The bomb is going to go down, and it's a 5 versus 4 now. All of Navi Junior stacked up towards short, and as Marcelius falls, a 4-on-4 for them to work with. Only 2 players on the bomb site though, so this is very doable. Ooh. Clinical headshots from them as Truth coming in from long. The bomb's being held, the kit's there as well. There's no way Truth can do it, and Navi Junior play that retake perfectly. That's clearly a practiced retake. All 4 players stack up and they just swarm it with ease.
Brilliant work there from Navi Junior in that A bomb site. Capacho and Bit just going huge with the opening kills, winning it out, and that's the pistol round in Navi Junior's favor. You take a look at the round distributions as well, and the Navi side are certainly one that's more comfortable on the T side of this map by a substantial margin. So every round that they earn in this first half is certainly going to be just up to putting those bonus starts on the board. If they can get 7 rounds or more, Navi Junior, I'd be very confident to see what they can bring out on the T side.
Not a huge amount for APEKS to work with in this round, but maybe enough. They've of course got that bomb plant. They're investing fully into this one. They've got 2 AKs to work with. Almost finding that early pick. Gruss taking a fair amount of damage though. Already down to 46 as he contests some control over towards middle. 2 players stacked up over towards this door. It's Onka to take the relief off. And it's Gospodarov behind the door with that MP9 as they push through to try and mow them down. For now, APEKS not going to entertain it, though. They're going to head back over towards long. They will be able to take it with ease. No one's contesting that deep long position. But as they start to walk up towards the site, they will be greeted by 2 hungry CTs in the short area.
This is what you see from CT sides all the time on Dust 2. If they're going to sacrifice A long, they're going to make sure they have deep short control and that all of these incoming Ts are really funneled down the same channel of attack. It's going to be the straight 5-on-5 retake for Na'Vi Jr. to pull off in the A bomb site with absolutely no utility to work with. There's one smoke left in the hands of APEKS. They've just put that down on short, which is keeping 3 players out for now. They don't have any flashes to get through. They may just have to go through this smoke dry, and that could allow APEKS some early kills.
Well, boost coming in for Topa to try and see over. Can't spot out anything for now. That's the only flash that APEKS had. It's now gone. It didn't really do anything. Now the retake swarming in for Na'Vi Jr. and Topa finds that first headshot with the FAMAS crunch. Finds himself 2 though. Makes that 3. That's absolutely massive. Topa, how on earth have you just converted that spray? It doesn't matter. Truth's there to trade it out. And APEKS bounce right back the other way. Put round number 2 in their favour and tie things up 1-1. Look at this round. Gross.
Massive plays.
Ooh.
Oh, 3 clinical headshots. That's it all said and done. And really from Na'Vi Jr. there, it was a gamble to sacrifice A long. They were hoping APEKS wouldn't all be pushing that angle together. And that's just the one tactic, of course, they call through. And it's the one tactic Na'Vi Jr. are not set up to properly deal with. They try their best at the A site retake, but it really doesn't work out. And now they've forced up themselves with double scouts and 3 deagles. It's all about the headshots for the young Ukrainians. Russ has found the first kill. Dennis has dropped straight onto Topa and Bit, and he's cleaned up the remaining players in mid as well. A very fast anti-force from APEKS, as they'll have the 3-1 lead now as Na'Vi look to the eco.
That was a full investment from Na'Vi Jr. there, and Bit almost landed on Dennis's head in that scenario. But Dennis just plays that perfectly. Finds himself 4 easy kills, and APEKS actually pull themselves ahead. This is a difficult situation for Na'Vi Jr. to be in now, because they take that pistol round, but they can't carry the momentum across. They're going to have to give up another round to APEKS, and they'll find themselves 3-1 down. APEKS landed himself these quick kills, gets himself 2. Looking for more than that, but Zonka's found 2. They've actually retrieved a couple of AKs. A 3 versus 3 situation, they are going to struggle because they've got no Kevlar, but they've done a huge amount of damage, and they could continue to do more as Onka's found himself another.
This is huge regardless of the outcome of this round, but the 2 AKs, absent body armor, they need perfect aim and they're retaking the B bomb site. Those are 2 facts you never want to hear if you're the CT side trying to come back into a retake scenario at the moment. I don't think they should be contesting it. It's far too difficult, and they'd have way more economic benefits if they could save these rifles. Ornka's going to be the last man in mid. He might try and contest, but he'll sit on the other side of the door and hope he doesn't get hunted down. They could just pincer into him or spam him straight through the door. That may allow him actually just to creep in mid and survive now with this AK. The triple kill, decent damage, but why does he walk forward there, throws the rifle away at the end, and all that hard work missed out on in the last seconds?
Yeah, when you're going for that save call to then push in at the end and try and take a rifle off of your opponent, that it really doesn't make a lot of difference. Even if he takes that rifle off of Marcelius, he's got 5k behind him. He can just buy it again. That AK would have been so important right now for Na'Vi Jr. It means that Capacho either doesn't have to be down to a FAMAS, or actually Topa, I think he's going to be in the same boat as well. He's going to have to drop down to a FAMAS or an SMG. So really, really foolish to throw that one away. But either way, they were on a full eco, and Onka has found himself 3 frags, which is absolutely huge. APEKS having to reinvest, keeping their money on tight reins, but because they've had a couple of rounds prior where they've actually kept several players alive, they've still got plenty of money behind them to buy into at least 1 more if they lose this round. Possibly 2. I think it will only be 1 for now. Especially with Akez just sitting on 850. Someone would have to drop him. Truth's yet to buy as well. So yeah, there'd be 1 buy left in the tank if APEKS lose this one. This would be an important round for Na'Vi Junior to win, though, to keep this one competitive, not allow their opponents to take an early lead.
That's got to be the key factor here. APEKS, if they want to come back into the series, a strong start definitely leans into that potential. If they can dominate this T side early on, get a hefty streak going and hamper that CT economy, Na'Vi Junior wouldn't have enough rounds to work with heading on to their stronger T side at the end of the day there. So really now, the Na'Vi Junior side are going to have to work in their first half. There's a lot of time remaining in it for them to put rounds on the board, and I'm just looking over at this CT buy and thinking how much better their utility would be if an AK was saved in that last round.
It really would be. One of these players wouldn't be down to a FAMAS as well, which on the CT side, it's just not really sufficient. When you're in a gunfight, you've got a FAMAS, they've got an AK. Very rarely do you come out on top. Ooh, lands that opening shot. In the meantime, his teammate falls, but he actually gets the leg in on Truth. Topa's going to swing out from short, wants to try and finish Truth off here. But Truth knows there's really no chance for him. He's being swarmed from all angles. He should just get spammed away. Topa should drop down and take him, but it's actually going to be Onka to do the work. In the meantime, APEKS have got themselves onto this A site, but a 3 versus 3. Plenty of utility for Na'Vi Junior now on this retake. That's exactly what they're going to go for. 2 players stacked up towards short. It's Onka in CT. The nades rain in. They want to try and retake this bomb site, and it's Topa to find the first.
Utility, the difference between this retake and Na'Vi Junior's last attempt from short. Marcelius has whiffed a shot now, and he's isolated, so alone at the moment, trying to watch for the defuse. There's a smoke in front. He's found a shot, but flashed off. The defuse is being stuck right now. He's found a close player. This would be a heroic play, but he can't quite get the last one. He makes it expensive for Na'Vi Junior, but they do find the round, and they pull closer to a tied scoreline. They need one more victory, and they have to reinvest into it at the expensive cost. APEKS, with a buy coming through of their own, might be able to deal some economic punishment here.
Making it very, very expensive indeed. Na'Vi Junior really down to a funky buy right now. MP9, a FAMAS, a Scout. Ooh. They've got their work cut out for them. They've got to do what they did last round all over again against 4 AKs and an AWP just to level this one out 3-3. APEKS have got some fair money behind them as well, finding all those frags, getting that bomb plant last round. Everyone, or in fact 3 of them, will certainly be able to buy into the next if they lose this. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for the investment, but it's bit off of the back of the flash from his teammate, swinging out and finding Gruss. That's the man advantage. Dennis is going to retrieve that AK, but a 5v4 for Na'Vi Junior to work with. As the clock winds down, a minute left on the clock, Topa's spotted out the AWPer, calls for the flash, and they should be able to come out on top with this one.
Oh, Gospodarov, Scout versus AWP, and it's the Scout that wins that engagement. A smoke down now onto long, which is where the bomb is dropped, so APEKS are going to try and get some a short commitment even, but Gospodarov is just ripping them apart. The Scout on its own has found 3 kills in this round. Gospodarov is really alive and kicking in this series, carrying over his skill from overpass. Arquez will take him down. He's going to find 4 more Na'Vi Junior players. He'll get the first in pit, but on 35 HP, and with 25 seconds now left to work with, he may not get much closer to this A-bomb site. He's found Bit, but now on 8. One bullet would make the difference. If he's allowed to win this clutch, it would be a heroic choice indeed, but Onka takes him down. Now, that's much more expensive than it had to be again for Na'Vi, but it's still the important round win and the 3-3 scoreline.
They've done really, really well to level it up there. You're right, it didn't need to be that expensive. It was a 5 versus 1. Realistically, Gospodarov should have just hit that scout shot as the smoke started to fade. I'm not sure if it's just what we see on our screens, but it felt like he was looking at him for a fair while. Could have just been closed out there and then, keeping all 5 alive, but instead they lose 3. But look at that. That is absolutely crisp from Onka. He has been very strong so far this game. Sitting 6-4 right now, as they have this man advantage, and somewhat of an investment coming in from APEKS, but just the pistols, Kevlar on a couple. They stack up over towards short. I can't imagine they have much success with this play, though.
Bit did just give his back to his opponents briefly there, but now he's refocused and able to face for the defense. He's found another important kill onto Gruss, as well as these flashes continue to stall the APEKS push, but they are still trying to force their way in. Bit's still getting headshots, though. 3 more he follows up with in the round. Makes it a quad kill for Na'Vi Jr. and APEKS. While it looked like they were streaking earlier on, they haven't been able to have much success recently, and now we get to talk about our partners over at Hellcase, the biggest and most well-known case opening website that features almost 100 cases, updated case battle, the upgrader, dozens of monthly giveaways, and loads more unique features. This is the full gun round now for APEKS, but if they can't win it out, I'd say they're in serious trouble on the T side, because Na'Vi Jr. have really stabilized despite the first 3 losses.
Oh, that Molotov going to mean that Marcelius can't take that early long control, and instead Na'Vi Jr. are actually going to get up close and personal. The M4 clearing out behind this container. There's going to be no one there, and it means that they've got loads of leg room over towards long. APEKS actually holding true just on the other side of this smoke. As it starts to dissipate, he'll want to try and find this engagement, but not going to be able to spot anyone. Topa's in a fantastic position. He's got the crossfire as well with Gospodarov in pit. Just the waiting game right now. Who gives in first? APEKS. Oh, he's just holding true, waiting for his teammates to get up catwalk, and that's going to be his cue to start walking up. And when he does, he'll walk right into the mincer. But in the meantime, keeping these 2 players on long means that his teammates can actually just walk straight onto the A bomb site, and nothing will be given away until the bomb goes down.
It's going to be another retake needed from Na'Vi Jr. with only a little bit of utility to work with. They have 1 Molotov for sure, but it's this long commitment that really does have to find the kill onto APEKS here. If they don't get it, this has been a huge waste of a round for Na'Vi. All he has to do is wait to be effective. He eventually moves out and he finds the kill onto Topa. That is just brilliant news. All he did there was keep 2 players locked into long for the whole round and just wasted their time the whole entire time. Gruss has found Bit now as well, re-aggressing onto short. Na'Vi Jr. have to back away from this one. APEKS, they've managed to tie up the scoreline.
Marquez going in for second. It's going to cost him his life. Macho taking a lot of damage, but actually spins around, helps out Onka, and they should be able to save these rifles. Truth coming in from the tunnels, might be able to take 1 away. But Na'Vi Jr. have done a hell of a lot of damage here. It's only got Padarov to save the rifle, but he grabs himself an AWP at the last second, and that's going to be huge. Things tie up 4-4 right now. And Na'Vi Jr., it really seems like their game plan on Dust 2 is to give up this A site and just play for the retake. Make sure that you've got 2 players over towards B so that you never really have to retake that B site, and that's just something that they haven't had any problems with. APEKS just don't seem to like that B site. They continuously are heading over towards A. And Na'Vi Jr., okay, they didn't showcase it that round, but they seem to be pretty consistent when it comes to these A retakes. And that flash coming off on the sign, Gruss has to hit the shots while blind, and he does exactly that. 1 traded back, but Marcelius comes out on top, and a man advantage for APEKS to work with as they head over towards A.
They're keeping it competitive on their T side at the moment. APEKS leaving it in the 4-on-4, but Dust 2 itself leans ever so slightly into that T side. Patcher, this is a gamble! He's found the kill! Wow. Decimates Truth with a Mag 7, upgrades onto an AK, but the thing is, Na'Vi Jr., they don't have control of the A bomb site. They've got Gospodarov flanking with an AWP on long, and the timing that this is going to arrive at would actually potentially work in his favor. Actually, sorry, it's Ornka who's flanking. Gospodarov's AWP is holding the close range here for the cross. The flash completely blinds him, and he has to be careful about timing here. The AK could find him. There's a flank now on the way, and Orka's struggling to find the kills. He does damage to Dennis, but hasn't converted anything else. A Molotov for Gospodarov to work with, as Na'Vi Jr. have another retake on the A-bomb site.
Well, they've seemed to be pretty consistent with them so far, but as APEKS, oh, 2 nice shots, and Onka is going to fall right back. I'm not sure if I agree with this. He has a lot of time to work with. And actually, both of these players are incredibly low. This was very doable, but it's part of the bigger picture. Right now, 4-4. It's going to be 5-4 for APEKS. But that AK will be going into the next round for Na'Vi Junior. That's real unfortunate stuff that you just couldn't convert those frags in the back lines. APEKS pull ahead.
Something I will say about Na'Vi Junior is their short retakes have been working a hell of a lot better than their long retakes. Perhaps that's where they want to be diverting their focus now. Instead of committing early on towards long, perhaps position their Rorpa to hold the angle, as APEKS really have been just hitting this A site every time, not giving any attention over to B. And the objective here is going to wait for the round that Na'Vi Junior do eventually put more than 3 players on that A bomb site and then switch things up and hit B in the late round. There's only the hero AK for Na'Vi to work with on their buy at the moment. APEKS should be able to comfortably take this 6th. As short control won by Na'Vi Junior means they have to give away that A bomb site, and Dennis is fighting in mid to remove these pistols.
But he's found himself 3. They're actually pretty crispy shots. It's Carpaccio to finally finish him off. But he's done his work. Found himself 3 frags. Secured them this round, as Carpaccio finds himself 1 more back though. They've got 2 AKs right now. They've found themselves 2 kills. If they can save these 2 rifles and bring them into the next, this would actually be a really good round for Na'Vi Junior. If they can find themselves 1 more, it'd be even better. Not a lot of money on that APEKS side, so every player that you make reinvest is going to be grumpy about it. It's looking like Na'Vi Junior, they're falling right back to T-spawn. No one's anywhere close to being able to take those rifles away, and they will be able to take 2 AKs into the next round.
And that is a huge positive for the Na'Vi Junior side, because they've always seemed to be lacking utility in these late round retakes. They never seem to have enough, other than the one clearly successful example we had of them getting back into that site. They've never really had the nades to properly work with, and they seem to be misplaying the A-bomb site somewhat against APEKS. Now, sometimes it's working, but more often than not, this Nordic side are able to take the advantage, and they're going to call the timeout here to figure out what strategy they want to utilize. They've got a few aggressive B spawns, and while they haven't hit that side of the map just yet, Na'Vi Junior, they need to be careful. They could be tempted to overthink this one and stack more players into the A-bomb site just in the round that APEKS switch it up and go for some B momentum.
Bizarre time for a timeout from APEKS. Maybe you're right. Maybe they do switch this one up. It's round number 11, and they haven't actually got the bomb down on B once, I don't think. So, would be a nice time to see it. But at the same time, they're having quite a lot of success on A. I don't think they should be too worried right now. They've won the last couple of rounds in a row. They know that they will be against a buy round in this one. I'm not sure to what extent they're aware of whether they'll know that Onka's got this from Mass, but you're absolutely right. It's looking like they are heading over towards B. That Molotov is going to slow things down. But Na'Vi Junior have been pretty consistent. Even though they haven't been going B, they've still got 2 players holding it up. But those players are a little bit rusty. They haven't had a lot of action in these last few rounds, and they can't connect the shots that are needed. APEKS take the site, and that's just going to be the early save call for Na'Vi Junior. There's no point in them trying to retake this B site. They are just going to keep their weapons and fall right back here.
Onka was playing anti-flash for the flash that never came, and Carpaccio just had too much work to do then. As soon as APEKS were able to overwhelm the B site, it was the right tactical call. They played perfectly off their spawns, and Na'Vi Junior, despite having 2 players in the site, you make the perfect point. They hadn't been tested so far in this map. They were certainly rusty by the looks of things and not ready for a B execution to come in. And this Na'Vi Junior CT side, the calling has not been as great as it was over there on Overpass. APEKS showing why they have a better round win percentage over on Dust 2 here than they had back on Overpass. And if they can continue to frag out here, get a 9-6, 10-5 half, it's great news. But again, Na'Vi Junior, I think they only need to be hunting down 7 rounds in the half for the real chance for success, but I'd call 6 enough on the CT side.
Possibly. It all comes down to how their T side plays out, and if these key players actually show up. Gospodarov was an integral part of their success on Overpass. And whilst he's putting up some numbers in this match, he's not doing what he was doing in the first map. He is sort of taking a step back, playing rather consistent, but not that huge playmaker that he was before, finding those opening picks. Early smoke coming in from long. They've got the info. They should have all the sound cues to work with as well. He's actually headed over towards long, but how has he missed that shot? Millimeters away. Topa luckily picks up the pieces as the flash comes over, but as Bit falls, Gospodarov needs to convert these and has done exactly that. Found the important kills as Topa's traded the others. And Truth, last alive, finally takes out Topa. We've still got 2 more to find. Tapping away, trying to convert it. Does exactly that, looking for the last, but it's Onka to come out on top. That round comes down to the wire, but Na'Vi Jr. come out on top. And we sit 5-7 now. APEKS still plenty of money in the bank to buy into this one. But wow, that was a messy round. A lot of kills came in very, very fast there.
Topa really bailed Gospodarov out on multiple occasions with huge rifle kills. This engagement confused me because Ornka took a rather long time to walk forward and engage in that fight, but he was eventually able to secure the M4 kill. That wins the round for Na'Vi Jr., but it's so expensive for them, and Gospodarov has been ruined immediately by Marcelius on a long. He's not been having too much luck at this angle with his AWP, but Onka's found the reply kill immediately in mid, and Topa's found the hold here on the cross. He'll be flashed off partially. There's a little gap in this smoke he might be able to exploit. Hunting hungry for kills. He does huge damage onto Grust. The nade could even finish him off now. Does stay alive on 2 HP, but it's a much better A defense from Na'Vi Jr.
It really is. They've got the boost coming in as well. In fact, no, they are going to delay it. They're not going to go for it yet, and that's going to cost them. Topa now falls. The trade comes in, and oh my goodness, Onka goes for the jumping shot. He actually connects it. That is huge. Na'Vi Jr. put themselves onto 6 now and seriously contesting this half. Not going to allow APEKS to get to 8. Not going to allow them to get to 9. They want this 8-7.
Onka, he loves those jump shots. I saw a cheeky clip of him hitting AWP no scope. Kukli jumps on that A-bomb site earlier on this week, so definitely one to watch out for those kind of crazy plays. And Na'Vi Jr. have stabilized what could have been a disastrous first half for them. APEKS had that really early 3-0 lead and then even had an opportunity to pull away for yet more momentum. Gospodarov pressured in mid, but this is an angle he certainly prefers as he finds the opening kill this time. APEKS have to readjust across the map with Dennis trying to take short control, but Gospodarov isn't done fragging. He's taken down Marcelius now as well and left APEKS at the 2-man disadvantage.
Very, very early advantage for Na'Vi Jr. to take, and well, Gospodarov, I think he did some damage through that door. I'm not too sure. Either way, still a man to work with. Dennis is on 11 HP. The bomb does just about go down, and Truth needs to be the playmaker here. There's so many CTs coming in from short. It's their favoured position to go for this retake, and if the flash is perfect, they spray them both down. They have this down to the T. They know exactly what they're doing. These orchestrated plays are absolutely impeccable. And Capaccio finding that final onto Dennis. The defuse comes in. 4 players staying alive. They retrieve themselves some AKs as well. And this CT side is looking stacked going into round number 15. It's going to be an 8-7 half, but it all comes down to which way that swings.
You're absolutely right there. Capaccio really does the work on short. That was a clinical retake from Na'Vi Jr. And once they have the rifles available, once they can get the utility on the board, then they really know how to function, it appears. Capaccio's tagged early, but it's just the scout from Marcelius not able to find that opening pick, and he's been dinked now by Gospodarov. Unfortunately not taken down for the Na'Vi Junior side just yet, and the HE grenade dealing intense damage as well. It looks like APEKS may be falling apart in this round at the moment as they've sustained heavy damage and lost the first man.
Marcelius with this scout now very, very low. They've got a little bit of utility to work with, but as they're stuck on short right now, they need to aggress up onto this A site. Onka, I think, realised that he's alone here. That Molotov's just going to come in. They'll probably rotate another player over towards A. That's going to be Onka. No, maybe not. Okay, APEKS just aren't making any noise. They're just keeping their opponents guessing for now. Still a man ahead though, Na'Vi Junior. They've got plenty of players to hold up this A site, and as the catwalk smoke comes in, Russ is going to drop. Ooh, doesn't actually come out on top. Bit finds the burst, looking for more as well. He whips the spray. Hackers comes out on top, and Onka needs to land this spray. Good for one, and Capacho now needs to hold up this piece. Site finds himself the first, huge damage onto the second as well, and this should be all said and done for APEKS.
Celius on just 17. He's being pushed now from the window, but Capacho may just fall to that HE grenade, so it's going to be a 2-on-1 for this low HP Galil to work with. But they're reading these fake plants perfectly every single time. Now on the third time he goes for the commitment, and of course they read it. Gospodarov does enough to find the kill and secures the half at 8-7 in Na'Vi Junior's favor. That was an incredible effort considering the deficit they had with APEKS in the lead, and now with the 1 round advantage, they head on to what is traditionally their more successful T side.
Being 7-4 up, having that confidence on your opponent's map pick, and then letting those last 4 slip away, allowing your opponents on their weaker side to actually come out on top and take the side 8-7. You've got to be pretty disappointed, and if they go into this pistol round and they lose it, APEKS are going to be in a dire situation. They really need to take this pistol round, level it up, find their footing on that CT side, and actually just have a strong CT side overall. If their CT side ends up being weak, this could very, very easily be a 2-0 series. Na'Vi Junior, they have turned up today, and they're showing a very strong performance against APEKS right now. Onkara, 13-8. Very, very nice stuff from him. Every player, to be honest, on the Na'Vi Junior side, really stepping up. They're all within 4 kills of each other, putting up those numbers. And if that continues going into this second half, they've got a good chance of closing this map out.
They really do. They just look so dynamic on the T sides as well. You think back to the beginning of Overpass, where they were able to start off shocking APEKS at the beginning of that map, and really perhaps it makes you worry for APEKS now as they swap on to the CT side, which they traditionally have more success on. But at Na'Vi Junior, really, their entire CT side, it wasn't defaults. It was going aggressive for kills wherever they could find them and then retaking the bomb sites. Now, on the T side, all they have to worry about are those aggressive site hits and making sure they hit their early shots. Our partners over at LootBet should be sending us some odds for the second half of this map at some point, and I have a feeling they might have swung slightly further into Na'Vi Junior's favor. We'll just have to see, though, as the second half gets underway. Can either side secure the pistol and win the early advantage for their side?
I'm really interested to see what Na'Vi Junior do on their T side, because their CT side was very orchestrated. They knew what they were doing. All of their flashes and smokes were to the T, especially on those retakes. And as we go into this pistol round, it's looking like they've got a set strat to try and get up short here. Find themselves that early pick. Marcelius needs to get the trade, and instead he has to fall back. Takes loads of damage, even takes full damage as he drops down to CT. Needs to connect the heads. He finds himself one, make that two. That was crispy, and as Dennis comes in to help, this is looking not all too good for Na'Vi Junior, but they bounce it right back. Capacho finds 2 of his own. The boost comes in, they go for the double swing, but it's Na'Vi Junior to come out on top. That was a very, very messy pistol round. I cannot believe those shots from Marcelius, though. That was insane.
A clinical masterclass in the USPS there. That was beautiful. And this could have gone either way there. I really do think Truth runs out of ammo, to be honest with you, which is why he loses out on that engagement. But Na'Vi Junior, by the skin of their teeth, take the pistol, and now they have to overcome 3 scouts. Gospodarov doesn't want to be peeking back into that one, but he's still alive somehow. The sniper not yet taken him down. And these scouts are definitely a worthy weapon to bring in to complement your Deagles. All they have to do is the early tag damage, and the Deags can just clean up with the body spam.
That's not a bad strat. Of course, having these 3 scouts, they've done a lot of early damage. Bit and Gospodarov now actually down to 20, but Onka, he's just got a read on the situation. He just knows exactly where to spam through that smoke, finds himself that kill onto Truth, who wasn't even that low on health. And Dennis needs to connect a shot here. Unable to do so, he's forced to fall right off of it. He is going to go for an angle elsewhere, but he's right out in the open and he wants to fall off. Na'Vi Jr. just toying with their opponents, not committing to anything. And as Topa lands the headshot onto Marcelius, it's the two-man advantage for them to work with. And Dennis has to connect the shot here. That smoke's not going to make it easy for him.
That Molotov's designed to force him up onto the boost as well. As Gruss arrives on the flank, his Deagle has a few low HP targets to pick from, but the bomb's charging into the B bomb site, and it's going to be much harder to find those kills when they're in rooted T-side defenders. Gospodarov has just crept through the other side of the smoke and wants to hunt down with his Glock now. Puts them both to bed and gets double digits for Na'Vi Jr. They dispatch the APEKS force and hunt for their 11th round as they've extended their lead greatly at the start of the second half.
Very smart play from Gospodarov here, and even the balls on him to switch out to that Glock with the scout on his back and take those aim duels. And there's the odds from Lootbet, and there's no surprise there that Na'Vi Jr. are swinging ahead by a mile.
Slowly but surely, the odds creep ever in their favor, and APEKS without armor to contest this with just the pistols. Na'Vi Jr. play these rounds a lot slower than I'd anticipated them to, and I have a feeling that's just because APEKS haven't had the full guns out yet, and Na'Vi Jr. aren't quite sure what they are walking into. They don't want to fall foul to something like a three-man pistol crossfire in the mid-doors, because that would be really horrible to lose AK in these scenarios, especially with the bomb so close around as well. Instead, they look to make their way on a short, which site is currently undefended. So as long as Gospodarov can make his way up, he'll have an uncontested effort to go and plant. But they seem to have read this APEKS door hold at the moment, as they just seem to be waiting for the CT aggression.
I think their best bet really here is to head over towards a site and actually just get that bomb down and apply that pressure. Gruss is now there to contest it. He's going to get himself onto the box, but he's just not quick enough. As the nades start to come through, he makes a run for it, gets taken down in the process. Macho now, the man to try and stop the rotations. He's good for 3. Eventually gets taken out, and they might be able to go and save this AK, but Topa is already on the hunt here. Walking up short, wants to try and take that out of their hands, and the first man to find is going to be APEKS on this corner. Bit's the one to make easy work of him. Easy $600 bonus for the kill with that MAC-10. Marcelius has run for the hills. 24 HP and an AK to save, but Bit is already on the hunt, and he's coming in from T-spawn hot.
I like that Topa's just staying on short and watching the A-bomb as well. Not necessary, but you definitely don't want to fall foul to a cheeky ninja at the end of the round. And Bit at super long range with that MAC-10. Finds the headshot and gets the 11th for Na'Vi. That's no bonus weapons allowed for APEKS when this full buy comes through, and they could be slightly stretched utility-wise. Perhaps not as many Molotovs as they were hoping for. And Na'Vi Jr. have B spawns at the moment, but only a couple of players facing the right way to go for them.
Those crazy ninja plays in those scenarios don't tend to come through at this caliber, but especially at that pro level, there's players that just have an insane read on the game are able to swing back round and go for it. Actually, the early tag damage coming through from Gospodarov through the door, but that nade doing a fair amount onto his teammates as well. Onka is in a fantastic position, does fire off a few shots, unable to do any damage though, and they have to fall back off of it. They don't want to contest that fight. The smoke is going to go up now, and Gruss is up close. Might be able to find himself one if he goes for the peak, but instead sits behind the doors and regains control of that area of the map. Still a 5 versus 5, minute 15 on the clock, and Na'Vi Jr. start to stack over towards short. It's looking like they want to go for an A hit, but they've got to be careful of the AWP of Marcelius on this car position. He is so dangerous. In my mind, really one of the stronger players on the APEKS side, especially in this series. I'd say he's been the strongest. They just need to start converting these rounds. If they lose this buy round, Na'Vi Jr. could be good for 13, and that's a dangerous scoreline to allow your opponents to get onto.
Pacho can't rejoin his team as he's currently got the Molotov as his own team. And now Na'Vi Jr. are trying to funnel themselves through these mid-doors, but that spray down is yet to find any kills. Even Dennis has only dealt damage at the moment, and Capacho is able to overwhelm him. Now the kills start coming through from APEKS, but the B-bomb site's been earned for Na'Vi Jr., but the bomb is dropped in the mid-doors. Shouldn't be anything they can do at this point in time as they take it slightly too slowly for the T side. So little HP remaining They might just be trying to bail out through the tunnels, but APEKS looks to be cleaning them up here as well. It is the 8th for APEKS, and they do well to start scoring early on their CT side.
Okay, it's done well to get in the back lines there, find those 2 frags. They've taken a double AWP as well, which is interesting to see from APEKS. You can definitely make it work on Dust 2. Certain maps that double AWP setup doesn't work, but I think Dust 2 is one of those that you can justify it on that CT side. Now, 11-8 down. They are against another buy round from Na'Vi Junior. They're on their reserve cash. A couple of players down to, well, a Galil, a pistol on Capacho. But potentially sufficient. As long as Gospodarov is on that AWP, there is always potential for them to convert the round. Marcelius holding this long angle. Has to be wary of bit up close. He starts to check it. For now, no engagements taken. Ooh.
These 2 AWPs, I really don't think Na'Vi Junior are going to anticipate it. And if they fall in this gun round, it's dropping onto an eco that they have to do, and that would allow APEKS the route back into this match at just a 2-round deficit. They don't have the longest of leads to work with. Marcelius has rung out onto Gospodarov and dropped the bomb as well. It's always in the back lines that he seems to be holding that piece of utility. That's 2 rounds in a row now where Na'Vi have lost control of the bomb at critical stages during their execution. They haven't even punished Marcelius yet. Bit eventually will ring out with an AWP of his own, but that's eaten a lot of time. And if Na'Vi Junior had the read, they would understand just how many players are stacked up into this A bomb site. But it looks as though they're going to dump the smoke in mid to try and sell that fake. Instead, it's prompted Truth's aggression, and that sells everything to APEKS. They know this is an A hit.
As the nades start to come in, APEKS haven't actually rotated the players over. The last line of defense here is really Dennis. He's dealing the damage, but as he's been dinked himself to do the work, and he's only good for 1. Onka trades it out. Now a 3 versus 3. Na'Vi Junior will be able to get onto this site, but are they aware that APEKS is in long? They are going to plant for short nonetheless. Post plants come through. It's Grass coming in from short with this M4. And Onka might not expect him in this right corner. The flash comes through, he swings it, doesn't see anything. And Gruss might have the element of surprise as he comes around this corner and he finds the kill. 3 versus 2 now for APEKS to work with. They need to convert these final 2 and get that bomb defused in time. There's no time. Truth, he's cut his losses. He's run away.
No time left on the clock. Truth just has to bail out of that one. Topa in the clutch. He cannot get it, or he does get it done rather. All he has to do is sit in the corner, and there's no time left for the AWP to try and clutch forward. That is a devastating round to lose for APEKS, as they do nearly everything they have to on the A retake, but they still fall foul. Now, the Na'Vi Junior economy is still under a lot of pressure. APEKS could beat them back with a win here, but it looks as though they haven't gone for the full investment in this round.
Marcelius opens up that one. And with the AWP doing the work. Kes finds himself on as well with that Deagle. This limited buy really working out for APEKS. It's only Bit and Topa right now to try and pick up the pieces. Bit has found himself 1. Topa needs to find one of his own. He's found it onto Truth. Now a 3 versus 2. A very doable situation. They have got the bomb on their back. And APEKS, he needs to be careful here. He is actually going to start to fall off of that close position. And a man on each site. 1 holding the middle area. It's still Marcelius with that AWP. If they head over towards B, it's only Dennis to hold it with that 5-7, but they're making the right call here. They go up short. APEKS is the only man on A, and he is deep in long with that AK. Marcelius needs to be quick on this flank, and, well, he might catch him off guard here. This would be huge from him.
Yeah, there's no way Na'Vi Junior expect this one. They are both going to get wrecked. That's the info sold as well. And Marcelius has done the work. He doesn't even need the second kill here. He can just back away and let his team do what they have to. That timing is brilliant from the Nordic AWPer. Really good game sense from him to be maneuvering in that manner. And now he's left bit in a 1 versus 3. APEKS can clean it up with the AK and give APEKS their 9th round. Na'Vi Jr. now, they have to look into an eco, I believe. APEKS with an opportunity to close out confirm the tie even and start closing the gap at the moment against Na'Vi Jr. It's still a 3-round deficit, and really you do want to be ecoing on this T side.
You really do. Something that Na'Vi Jr. have been doing really, really well is when it comes to these tight choke points, they're using this utility every single time. They throw the flash over, they go for that double swing. If they think that an AWP could be on the angle, they take the precautions necessary. Me, on the other hand, if I'm in a pug, for example, if there's a choke point and there's a potential that an AWP's holding it, I know that I've got a good chance of just jumping across without a flash and they probably won't hit the shot. But at this caliber, if you do that, Marcelius is going to capitalize and he will connect it. So that flash has to come through. And Na'Vi Jr., well, it didn't quite work out for them in that round. Marcelius was able to wreak havoc. Now they're just dropped down to the pistols. They have got a 3-round lead, but I can't imagine they'll be able to convert this one. So APEKS should be able to put themselves onto 10. And a 12-10 scoreline isn't as clear-cut as maybe it seemed early on. Not sure what happened to there to bit. Mouse might have done something funky. Doesn't matter all too much. They could for one. Gosparadov's the one to find it, but APEKS to put their 10th on the board. Plenty of money behind them. Dennis can get a drop from a teammate. And now Na'Vi Jr. have to pull out the big guns and make sure that APEKS don't level this one out.
It's a really dire position. Na'Vi Jr. with a lost gun round. You'd expect that to be a tied scoreline for the CT side, as they wouldn't have as much cash as they'd like bringing forward in the follow-up round. They just have 5 AKs to work with in this one, as well as they're going to try and use their triple B spawns perhaps this time to make movements into tunnels, but the early Molotov prevents their pushes and they do have to focus to a more traditional round instead. Of course, that early utility is going to be deployed, and recently Na'Vi Jr., they've been walking into the stack sites against APEKS and trying to win the gunfights. That works out when you've got confidence on your side, but at this point it's just too close. They've taken a long time to figure out which is the less defended site, but they're still not making the right calls here. So perhaps change of pace may be on the cards, as Truth's AWP is what can deal the opening damage in this round, should Na'Vi Jr. choose to go through those mid doors.
Oh, Na'Vi Jr. just taking this control, waiting for some kind of APEKS aggression. They should know by now that APEKS don't tend to give it to them. They play this default really, really disciplined. As the catwalk smoke comes up, might give them the illusion that they're going aggressive, and it's going to draw Dennis nearer. Trying to find himself a nice angle around the edges. Doesn't spot anything for now, though. He is actually going to fall back. No rotations pulled. Now the smokes come over. Capacho. His job here is to just feed the information, try and deny the rotations. In fact, that might not be his job at all. It's looking like Na'Vi Jr. might actually be going for a B-split here, and he's the man that needs to find the frag from the tunnel.
Oh, Topa's found first, coming out mid, and now Arquez is isolated in the site, but no way has he been able to find 2 massive kills there. Bit is in serious trouble as Marcelius takes him down, and Na'Vi Jr. too disjointed there. No communication, it felt like, to spot the player in the back of the pit, and Capacho now is being flanked from either side. Surely he knows it, as he really wants to take this aggressive fight in the doorway. He's won it, but does he turn around in time? Instead goes through the door and now has the opportunity as he jumps past to win it out. Capacho, that is mental. 1 versus 3 on the B bomb site to put Na'Vi Jr. on 13. That is absolutely crazy.
That first headshot was absolutely nuts. Timing working out perfectly for him, as he's able to commit loads of time on that second fight, and then turns around just in time, spots out the third player, and, well, Gross, not expecting him to re-peek, of course, pulls out his knife and tries to make a sprint for the bomb site. That is a really, really bad round for APEKS to lose. That should have been theirs. They should have been able to get it within 1, buy up. Na'Vi Jr. would have no money in the bank, and that would be their chance to claw their way back into this one. But it swung the wrong way. Na'Vi Jr. now 3 ahead. APEKS the ones with the difficult money situation. And if Na'Vi Jr. can actually convert this round, they should be able to put themselves onto match point.
It's going to be another buy, though, from APEKS to try and deny. That's the issue for Na'Vi Jr. Whenever they win rounds, they only ever do it with one player left alive. And it means they can never get the perfect buy they're looking for on this T side when they're trying to string together rounds. This time, AWPs are very far away from APEKS's buy as they look to use AUGs instead and try and push mid-aggression at the moment. Ornka might just be in the right position to deal with it. Gruss ready to refrag should Ornka decide to push out, and the lower tunnels contingent is being held for by Arquez. This could be all decided in mid. He finds the first, but the Galil will trade him back at bare minimum. Can't overextend though, Ornka, who's found now by Marcelius. Instead, this is such a messy round. Marcelius opens up with 2 on the FAMAS, and that should be enough to keep it going here for APEKS. Gruss does it with the AUG, and Na'Vi Jr., I don't even know what that round was supposed to be doing. They just tried to sit in mid like they did before, and it does not work out at all. Gospodarov alone with an AWP, and this is supposed to be Na'Vi Jr.'s strongest side, and I don't think they've won consecutive rounds on the T side.
They do definitely seem to be struggling a little. I'm really surprised that APEKS come out on top with this one, because they had no one watching barrels. They had 2 guys pushed up short. Gruss was watching suicide. I think it was Arquez that was there watching lower tunnels. But as soon as that barrel swing came in, no one was watching that at all. Gospodarov, the trigger discipline comes through. Dennis falls. A 2 versus 1 now for him to clutch up. And as Marcelius is on 17, if they know that he's low, they might actually be able to pull this one off. He does unfortunately flash himself, but it will be enough to get him across. Does he expect Gruss to be swinging round here, though? He will get the bomb just in the nick of time, but he needs to spin around, and I don't think he's aware of it. Gruss should be able to take him from the back. Gospodarov should be aware of that. But unfortunately, just the pressure gets to him, and APEKS come out on top. But that round was made a lot more expensive than it should have been.
They do bring back the damage, you're right there, but Na'Vi Jr., it's going to be another round where APEKS are 1 away from tying things up by the looks of things. They should not be investing into this on the young Ukrainian side, and I don't know whether they can get double AWP side. Maybe not now for APEKS. They're going to have to stick on to the single. And their T side hasn't looked too inspired for me. Na'Vi Jr., their default seems to be sit in mid and wait. And APEKS are really doing a lot of work with that strategy at the moment. They are overcoming it in major ways. For my money, Na'Vi's strength here is rushing in, causing chaotic gunfights, and winning out early entry frags. And they've not had an opportunity to do that until they sit at the last moment.
Massive spray down there. Of course, it is just against the pistols, but it's now on 1 HP. Needs to be careful. Calls in the cavalry, and it's Truth to pick up the last 2. APEKS finally bring it to within 1. This has been a big comeback from them, but they need to make sure that they can tip it over the edge, convert these final rounds. Dennis is so lucky to survive there.
One away now from the tied scoreline, and there's very little utility available for Na'Vi Jr. They'll send players into the tunnels early again, but the Molotovs dissuading them from aggressing, and they might actually just be considering an all-out B execution at this point as the smoke extinguishes the molly. They decide against it now. The rotators look to be coming back in, and that nade might deal minor damage. Instead, it deals none. Na'Vi Jr., I think they've made the right choice not to rush into the B-bomb site as they play slowly in this round. However, they need to start adapting and converting these. They really have struggled to put consecutive rounds on the board, which is not what you want to do fighting against CT sides. It allows them to build so much cash, and Marcelius, he's not punished for mistakes like that. That's the difference between Na'Vi Jr. on Overpass on Dust 2. There's no way Marcelius would have been allowed to run away there if this was Overpass.
And that frag really should have come in from Camacho there. The issue is that instead of committing to that peak, he was actually just jiggling. So he'd already pressed DNA really fast, and as soon as he saw that, Marcelius just falls right back. And I think that's a good play for Camacho to not swing into that. He knows the peak is there, but look at this. As the nades come in, Gospodarov comes out on top. Marcelius needs to connect these shots, and he's only good for 1. Loads of damage dealt for APEKS, but both players fall, and they're only good for 1 frag. Now they've got to retake this notoriously difficult B site. With a mad disadvantage as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for this early save call, and to add insult to injury, they've lost 2 men straight away. Truth now can only save this AUG. He can't even run in and try and grab one of the AWPs. He He just has to fall right back off of this one. Next round, he would actually be able to drop an AWP to a teammate if they wanted to put one on Marcelius. I wouldn't be surprised if they do so. He's been really, really strong with it. But APEKS, they needed to convert this round, and they've been unable to tie it up since very, very early on in the game. And they get very, very close, but then they just let it slip. And Na'Vi Jr. now 1 away from match point. APEKS still trailing behind narrowly.
I think they might buy here to try and deny Na'Vi Jr. map point. Truth's got 6k in the bank and an AUG in hand. They're going to pause to talk about it, because if he wants to, he can drop 2 FAMASs to teammates with armor, and then maybe Arquez buys an M4, or at least they go for pistol armors on the other players. Whatever happens here, APEKS are having a serious discussion. Do they want to stretch their buy and commit to this round, or do they want to save it for when they have all the utility in the follow-up? It's a really hard call to make, but it could be the difference between elimination and survival at the moment. As the unpause comes through, they're still having a discussion, and at the moment it looks like they've not called the buy to come forward. With 10 seconds left on the clock, there is still time for it to come through. APEKS has only upgraded onto a pistol though, and it looks like APEKS, they're going to eco through here and allow Na'Vi Jr. map point potentially.
It's a big decision to make, but it's definitely the smart one. This is such a high-pressure situation. This is an elimination match. It's the second map. You're already a map down. If you go for this force and you lose it, you basically sign the series away. A very nice boost coming in from Truth. He's the one that needs to find the early frags. I think he spotted the foot, but the flash comes over. Very, very nice stuff. They're actually anticipating that boost, and they rip the head off. Bit fantastic shot. Spam through this door. Deals a little bit more damage as well. What a read from Na'Vi Jr.
APEKS has done well to find that kill back, actually.
Oh,
but there we are, guys. Padarov punishes. Gross has found a deagle kill elsewhere. This is getting very messy for Na'Vi Jr. They want to be seriously careful at the moment that they don't lose control of this one. Dennis is going to swing around the corner at some point. He's now got a P250 in hand, which gives his position away. And the B-bomb site is completely empty. If Na'Vi Jr. choose to walk in there, they will have a free plant. And it looks like that's where they'll commit through the B tunnels in the end. APEKS aware of this prospect now as they look to aggress into mid. Na'Vi Jr. are taking their sweet time, but they should have a free bomb site as long as they walk in the next 5 or so seconds. Now Dennis is here with only 1 pistol on the defense, but if he can find an opening kill, that's a lot of damage.
Personal, not able to find anything. APEKS, it was a smart call to go for that A gamble stack. Not one that paid off for them, but Marcelius in the back lines, he's got no Kevlar is the issue, but he has brought it into a 2-on-1. He knows exactly where the bomb is, and he actually spams through the smoke. The timing's impeccable. It's now a 1-on-1, and he's spamming away Marcelius! What on earth was that?
What?
That was unreal.
What? That is a really strange play around that smoke. I've never seen anybody get that lucky. How the hell has he managed that? Jesus Louises, he gets the timing perfect. That was Na'Vi Jr.'s map point, and instead Marcelius, he may have just taken it away with that play. And now it's double AWPs out on the CT side. How on earth has he managed to do that?
That was quite possibly the fishiest thing I've ever seen in my career. But just shows the huge brain on this player. Have that read, he knows exactly where the bomb is because he spotted it before that smoke bloomed. So he could just hold that angle, wait for the timing. And he got it down to the T. Na'Vi Jr. got to be upset that they've not converted that one. That was a fantastic chance to do so. Now it's looking like APEKS should be able to take this 14-14, a very limited buy from Na'Vi Jr. to try and tip this over the edge. And if they take it 14-14, Na'Vi Jr. have no money left in the bank, and they can actually put themselves onto match point. This would be huge if APEKS can convert this round.
That miracle play from Marcelius, that could be enough for them to secure this second map. As Na'Vi Jr. look to execute out into the A site, the Flames will keep them away. Now, APEKS have the perfect read on this execution. They've dropped down Na'Vi Jr. to try and aggress from the lower ground, and they've created space. Group up close has been overwhelmed, but they can't get the second kill. They can't even find Arquez in the site until too late. Topa should be able to get a part, but Kapacha's only got a deagle. He hasn't walked onto the site and recovered a rifle yet. This could still go very wrong if he's unable to land his shots. Topa looks like he's going to come and support him with the AK-47 at the moment. They hold for this long aggression. Marcelius has found the kills, though, and that's 14-14 tied up with Na'Vi Jr. on an eco. Dust 2 may have already been decided.
I'm speechless. I really don't know what to say right now. Na'Vi Jr., they can pull out some pistols, maybe a little bit of Kevlar going into this one. They've got a little bit of a loss bonus stacked up, especially going into the next. Instead, they force. Oh, I'm not sure about this one. They're playing a dangerous game right now. They really want to put themselves onto match point. The issue is they face up against a double AWP setup. And they've only got a couple of SMGs and a few pistols to try and convert this. This would be sad to see this slip. Na'Vi Jr., this was their map for the taking. This goes to the third. I don't have a huge amount of confidence in them.
They had that opportunity. The smoke was down. I mean, that was the one round. That was the map literally in that position. There was not a more impactful time for Marcelius to get one of the luckiest passages of play I've seen in my entire casting career. It has saved APEKS here by the looks of things, as Na'Vi Jr.'s economy is just completely broken now. The double AWPs remain out for APEKS, and they have just done such a good job to be able to survive and come back into this map. I really cannot believe it as they look now for map point against Na'Vi Jr.'s dodgy buy.
This is bold from Na'Vi Jr. This is really bold. 45 seconds left on the clock. Not going to aggressively hit that nade, doing a fair amount of damage, but Marcelius' AWP's actually missing a fair amount of shots into Pacho. A nice 1D from him. Bit finds one with the MAC-10. This might just tide them over the edge. 30 seconds left, and Topa's gone huge. Oh, 3 kills with the Mac Galil. What on earth is that? Na'Vi Jr., they've tipped it over the edge with only the Deagles.
Oh no, look what they've done to the economy of APEKS now. How have they swung it away with that? That is not a round that is supposed to be falling apart from the APEKS side. This is the play. Look at this perfect lineup. He just waits, and at the perfect time, both opportunities, he manages to land those shots. He clearly must have seen where the bomb was dropped before the smoke went down. That's the only explanation, and he's just holding it, assuming nobody was able to pick it up either side. Now it's Deagles, an M4 and an MP9 only for APEKS to work with to try and force overtime. Na'Vi Jr., this is their second chance to convincingly 2-0.
It really is. At the very least, they've secured the overtime. But look at their weapons and look at what APEKS have to work with here. They're certainly not down and out of it. This is effectively what Na'Vi Jr. had in the last round, and they managed to do it. So APEKS have certainly got a chance in this one, but this is Na'Vi Jr.'s best opportunity to close this out in regular time. And as Bit finds the first kill onto Gruss, that initiates the push onto A. The smokes come in. Truth needs to go huge here, and Gatsuga charging right through with his knife out, not able to do anything except a little bit of damage onto Onka. Now a 2-man advantage as Na'Vi Jr. swarm this site. Dennis on long needs to connect some 1Ds. As he gets a little bit closer, that's looking like what he wants to do, but Pacho finds the first 10. Can't quite find the second.